Hi, this is Dr. Duncan, and I wanted to just go over with you for a few minutes uh, what the final exam will be over and how best to prepare for it. So I'm going to use the weekly assignment folders and just tell you we had 6 chapters. That's all. A lot of semester-long courses have 8, 9, 10 chapters. We had 6. Chapter 1 is very important because it was foundational to our study of theater as art. And so where I would guide you there, 2 places, so this will be true for all of our chapters, is the quiz, okay? Because a lot of the questions will come from the quizzes, not every single one of them, but make sure you know the answers to those quizzes, all right? And if there's some that you're not certain of or understand well, then go back to the PowerPoint. The lectures are there, but it'll take you a long time to rewatch the videos. But if you go through and get to the PowerPoint, you'll find just by clicking that arrow, you can scroll down to the content that's specific. There's the 3 things that have to be there for something to be art: skill, beauty, and a meaning. These are not all 3, like they have to be all 3, but these are historical. Um, there's examples and things, and we look at then there's this list. It's a little bit different. It's the elements of art, and there are 5 of them. So again, the quiz is helpful in kind of organizing that into what it is, what art has meant in the past versus what we look at today and say, well, art is a form of human expression. It's artificial. It's not natural. We've formed it somehow. And then 2 and 3, subject and medium. There's something it's about, and there's a medium, a genre or something that we use. And these are other artistic genres, but for us, we're studying just the one of theater, performing arts. The 4th one is that the artist provides a perception of order, because it's not just whatever happens. It's not a reality show. It has been scripted, for theater. So all these different things in the 5th one, that there's a reaction, and they're usually wanting something political, their political reaction. Um, we did look at the difference between something that is only meant to be entertainment versus something that wants to deepen that and maybe challenge that, and that's where we get into art. Okay, then there were things like this, some basic terms. Some of them go back to Greek theater, so that's another key chapter. We'll come back to that. Theater, coming from theatron, the seeing space, and what makes something theater, right? Um, and then some categories. So anyway, go back and check your quiz. Then if there's something you're like, I don't know that, then you've got these resources to go back and review. So chapter 1 is important because it's foundational, but I can't really minimize any chapter because we only had 6. I guess if I minimized one, it might be this one, although you still will get questions over chapter 4, the part about, the audience and how they experience the play. And there are these terms for what we experience there, uh, like the willing suspension of disbelief, when we know that they're not really dying, but we kind of go with it and act like it, or maybe cry, even though we know it's not real. This happens in movies too, but it's started with theater. Um, So just do that quick review on the quiz and make sure you're good to go with that, and then go through the PowerPoints if you're not. The discussions were just to help you to further your understanding. So there's nothing on the discussion except when we get to the play studies, and I'll come back to that. Chapter 13 is a very important one because much of what we do in theater is based on what its origin is. So review that chapter. That quiz in particular, you're going to see, a lot of questions from there, and check your PowerPoint for those gaps. If you have any, if there's something you don't understand, then you can kind of fast forward through the video and find that concept and get the lecture on it there. Okay, chapter 7, of course, that's key. We think of theater, we always think of the actors, and same thing, quiz, and then go to your PowerPoint. Okay, so it's going to be very much that way for the test questions, not based on the discussion. Let's see, 2 more chapters. Directing, which is my favorite because I'm a director, or I was for many years, and The discussion of a director's role was more connecting the terms, so that might be helpful to review, but again, really go to the quiz and then the PowerPoint. All right, and then we had that for chapter 9, the most recent one on design, and there was lots of things that fell within that framework. Okay, we had the 6 chapters. Quizzes are key on that, and there's PowerPoints for those. But the play performances, we had 5. The 2 that we spent the most time with, I want to say, really was Trifles and A Doll's House. Now, we did actually have quizzes over Trifles and A Doll's House, and that will help you a lot in your preparation for the exam because it will call to your memory, particular characters and the plot line. There is no shortcut on that in terms of PowerPoint, but there is the script. If you shortchanged yourself and didn't watch a play, do find the answers to the quiz. And if you only have time to watch one play, so you have something to talk about when I ask you about plays, then do Trifles because it's the shortest one. It's only a half an hour long. Okay, we also had the Greek play Oedipus the King. A lot of y'all enjoyed that. Good performance there. But that would, make sure there wasn't a video. So I would kind of go back in and, look at the discussion for that to review. Our Hamlet, we had a couple different performance options. And that's where, some of the questions really, and this was in your final project, the script is all the same, but and there is a Hamlet PowerPoint, so to speak, but performances, okay, differ, from let's see, whether they're modern or like this one is, the second one versus the traditional in the time period one at Bob Jones, uh, or this very different one with the use of the color on his jacket. And so if we're it's still supposed to be set in Denmark, but it's really set like it's a coup in an African country in modern times. So they don't name it because they stick with Denmark in the script because you can't change the script. So when I'm always asking you about a performance, I'm asking you about that specific production, that specific performance at that time, the way they staged it, the way they costumed it, the way they portrayed it, their design, their style that they chose. All are doing the same script, but they're not all the same performance or the same style of production. And that's been key. That was part of one of the final project options to kind of take those and discuss them and how they differ and are unique, right? Okay, we had A Doll's House. We spent 2 weeks with that one because it's longer. We had a quiz over Acts 1 and 2. There were a lot of materials in there to help you with that. So, where you get more, more is expected, right? And there was a discussion on the how it ended and some review handouts. Okay, and then finally Fences, which we just had this past week, and there was a discussion there. So it's not that you have to memorize all of them, but there are going to be questions about every single one, like something about every single one. But you really need to make sure that you can discuss one or should be two, in pretty good detail without having to, because you don't have access to the play during the exam. So you need to be very familiar with it. So like I said, pick one if you're really caught in time, do Trifles. After that, I would say the next one that we had the most content on that you could review is Doll's House. But yeah, that's your way to prepare. The 6 chapters, mostly off your quizzes, and then the 5 plays, mostly, although there were some quizzes for Trifles and Doll's House, the discussions and your recollection of what you watched. All right, that's my under 10-minute version of how and what to focus on and how to prepare best. I wish you all the best.